Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have about 6 topics for this video. The first one is the hypocrisy of the so-called free countries with free press, free speech, democratic countries and capitalist countries. All these things are a hypocrisy. Why? Because they don't apply it when they lose. And that's not something that you really stand up for. You stand up for it only when you win, are on the winning side. That tells me you're kind of like a weasel. So we have the first topic out of the 6 or 7 that I have here with Russia Today. And Russia Today, if you don't know yet, is a Russian media outlet, has some money from the Russian government, as BBC has from the British government, but Russia Today is called a state-owned media and a propaganda tool for Putin, but BBC is not called a state-owned media and a propaganda tool for the British government. Why? Remember what I said about 23 seconds ago regarding being a hypocrite. So we have this first article where it says the US media merged with intelligence services long ago. Well, we know that, don't we? That's the first one. It was that the Operation Mockingbird, I think but that's how it was called. Remember? The infiltration of the free media in the West by the intelligence services. And that is how it started, and it's, I think, underway as well. I'm entitled to my opinion, not assessment, because if you say assessment is a different thing. I'm just have an opinion. I have a gut feeling. So YouTube cannot ban me because free people should have opinions. All right, next one. The attempt of the free world to ban free speech that they don't like or runs against their propaganda is attempting to have India shut down Russia Today. But India does not listen to these guys. Why? India is smart and strong. That means they follow their own interest, and they probably show the Western world, the free world, that they are freer than the Western world, who lecture India at every corner nowadays. Why? Because India doesn't follow their orders. If India would follow their orders, Modi, Dr. Jaishankar and everybody else will be fantastic, and India would be a pinnacle of the democracy, the greatest, the biggest democracy on this planet. Now, not so much. Why? They don't follow orders. Next one, we have a little article where we discuss how American citizens are never incarcerated abroad for anything they did. It's always fake allegations. So the Americans, some of them, who are jailed abroad, haven't done anything, and it's just a political stunt for the countries that we don't like at that particular time. So let's say tomorrow Bangladesh arrests an American doing something over there, a citizen, and if Bangladesh has a positive yes sir towards America, that guy would be released, and maybe you're not going to hear about it. Now, if Bangladesh doesn't follow orders, you're going to find out to the big boss that Bangladesh actually has this many problems, and that person incarcerated through their, process over there is unfairly, unjustified incarcerated. The Americans never have justified prisoners everywhere else. So China releases one of these guys who was a pastor. I will tell you usually what those guys are, man. And he releases this guy because he was, again, unjustly incarcerated by China. As all their guys in Russia are, again, unjustly incarcerated. Next article, or next topic. Polish foreign minister believes there's no need to fear Kremlin's nuclear threats. So someone tells you and your children, don't worry about that guy's nuclear threat. I don't believe that's a threat. Now, what if that happens? Remember the Christians, if you're a Christian, you have to agree with me here. Remember the Christians' argument, well, I don't believe in God, but what if there is a God? Do you have anything prepared for that? But if he's one, there's little, they call it, it's like a paradox, or if you don't believe, you're going to go over there, but if you leave, you're going to go over there, so you're losing both ways. And, their little argument that they try to, But anyway, in this case, if Putin launches a nuclear attack on, let's say, Poland, what are you going to do with the Polish foreign minister who told you, don't worry about it? Are you going to buy the balls or not? Going to grab him by the balls? No. And it probably is going to be too late. You're going to say, hey, I'm sorry, Vladislav, or whatever you call his Vojislav. Well, I'm sorry. When you're going to meet him over there to meet whomever you think you're going to meet, I'm going to say, hey, man, we are here because of you, motherfucker. Too late. But hey, you're going to start singing hymns over there, so you're going to be all happy. Now, Argentina, my friends, I like you guys, but how you figure out a guy without necessarily doing something. So let's say you have a guy and he's not doing anything, he's just walking around. How can you assess that guy is potentially doing something good or potentially doing something not so good? Well, one giveaway is the people he or she associates with. So if that guy is surrounded by, I don't know, bad dudes, you could, with a kind of a high accuracy, assess that guy is no good. Now, if he's surrounded by good people that they're good people, then most likely that person, I'm not saying most likely, is a good person that likes the company of those kind of people. So in the case of Milei, the president of Argentina, he's going to implement some, he thinks, austerity measures for Argentinians, not for him, for the Argentinians. And I will relate that to the Romanians after 1990s. 1990, after the revolution, it was the same thing. And the same people tried to take over Romania. The same thing is over here. So Milei says all kind of beautiful things. The problem is you can look who he associates with to figure out if he's really on your side or he's on their side. We're going to discuss that in a little while. Now, another thing. Your government wants you to fight for them. That is, the Ukrainian government, Zelensky Stein, wants the Ukrainian men from abroad who did not enlist or who did not respond to their duty to defend the Western interests against the Russians and destroy the Russians. He's going to call you to arms with the help of the Poles. The Polish government says, you know what, we're going to cut Ukrainian men's benefits in our country so they can come and fight for that country, even though they don't want to do it. But we're going to do it because it's your duty. That's your duty, your civic duty. All right, we're going to discuss that one. So the Poles are going to send the Ukrainians to fight for something they obviously said they don't want to fight for, which is Zelensky Stein, IMF, Rheinmetall, and Raytheon, and Lockheed Martin, and all these baboons and other banking interests that are over there, unnamed. So that's for today. Let's start with the first one, which the free media, actually that's right, that's where that's at. They're going to start with Milei, it seems like. So, Argentina's President Milei presents 2025 budget, vowing austerity. That's for the Argentinians, not for him. And setting up a showdown. So this guy right here, I think he was elected with the support of he's the pimp. I call him the pimp of Argentina. Why? Because he's going to have Argentina be screwed by his masters, and he's going to be the pimp. He's going to give you guys to the masters. And this is the first one right here. Libertarian, he's not libertarian, President Javier Milei of Argentina presented the 2025 budget to Congress late Sunday, outlining policy priorities that reflected his key pledge to kill the country's chronic fiscal deficit and signaled a new phase of confrontation with lawmakers. Now, I do not know the nitty-gritty in Argentina. I'm not an Argentinian. But as I said, show me the person and show me his friends, and then I realize kind of what kind of person that is. So it says here, this guy, so Milei, see, this is beautiful what they say right here. It's beautiful. And we already know that the lawmakers are the bad dudes, because who would not like to kill the country's chronic fiscal deficit? Everybody wants. Now, Milei in the legislature controls less than 15% of the seats. That is bad, correct? And we're going to find out one little thing, how do you call it, buried in this beautiful article right here. Overspending increases that the administration warns would derail its IMF-backed zero deficit budget. You got it? So on all this, you're going to find out who is in Argentina. International Monetary Fund backed bank, which is in United States of America. Now, let me relate this to the Romanian 1990s. After 1990, these guys in Romania were ordered to give everything that Romania has. Everything, sell it to the Western investors and allow IMF and the World Bank to come and set zero deficit plans. They will give Romania loans with interest, and in return, Romania would give IMF things. Now, if you don't pay, they will get the things. So IMF would give Romania money, which is numbers, and Romania, if they cannot pay because of the austerity measures that the IMF will set, or World Bank will set, these guys will get your things that you build, like, I don't know, factories, buildings, all this kind that IMF did not have set. So you see, with a few numbers that I give it to you, you don't pay for the numbers that I can erase tomorrow, I get your stuff. And I am the one who sets your deadlines and your next, road marker. This is IMF, no good. It's good for itself and its masters. You show me IMF or World Bank whenever they had a success story on this planet. No, they work for themselves. They don't want you to succeed. They want them to enrich themselves. They give you the loan and they get your stuff. There you have it. For what? The same like a petrodollar. You give me the finite product, like let's say this one. Let's say Malaysia makes this one. I'm just giving you an example, right? In order for you to build this, you need oil. For various reasons. In order to get oil, you need dollars to pay for oil. And you get the dollars from me. And I give you dollars for your finite product. How do I get the dollar? I printed. I give you printed paper so you can buy the oil, work, have your children, have your wives and fathers and so on, work, produce this, give it to me, and I give you some numbers. And I give you some printed money. The same thing here with IMF. I give you numbers, how many zeros you want to give you. I am the one who's going to set the standards, what you need to do. You're going to fail, and your collateral are things that I'm going to own. And I'm going to sell, I get my money. There you go. You like it? Great. I mean, it's only just. So I think this guy with Milei is just a pimp. I know how it was the austerity measures in Romania after 1990s. There were some people who became multimillionaires in dollars overnight, with bribes and with corruption, and the rest of us became poorer and poorer and poorer. And we were told year after year after year to just strânge cureaua, that is, tighten your belt a little bit more. The belt was around our backbones. There was no more to fucking tie the belt. Good luck, Argentina. I foresee that happening to you, but you know what I think you're gonna do? Argentinians will rebel against this, and it's gonna be on the Argentina's military to decide if they're going to go with IMF or they're going to go with the people. I don't like corruption. They have like 260% inflation over there and so on. But I know how IMF operates with countries they want to develop. So Milei associates with those guys, bad ending. Bad ending for you, not for Milei. Milei is going to be just fine. Just fine. Don't worry about it. Let's go to Russia Today, where US media merged with intelligence services long ago. RT editor-in-chief. Now, this person obviously is under sanctions by the United States of America because they say Russia Today is just an intelligence outlet of the Russian intelligence, let's put it this way, which could be true because CNN is not of the US arm of propaganda. Intelligence. No. Is not. No. Or BBC. No. Or no. All right, just because you say it 3 times doesn't mean that's the way it is. So nevertheless, she sanctions and these guys want to destroy it. And these guys are making a mockery of the US trumpets. The freedom of speech, quote unquote, the US trumpets applies only to those who support official narratives and obey instructions from its intelligence services. Russia Today, Margarita Simonian has said following the latest crackdown by Washington on Russian media. Remember, the ones that now agree because you don't like Russia Today or the Russians or Margarita or whomever. Remember, if these guys are doing that to them, they could turn around and do it to you when you have something that you like. You know, they can do it. Why? It's not that this law was broken or this value was banned. Is that if they did this, that's a pattern. That's a way of looking at things. That is a tyrannical way of ignoring freedom of speech. We don't like, we lose, we're going to ban it. The same thing, remember, with the Russian natural gas pipe provider, natural gas to Europe. The Americans have the Europeans stop that as much as they can, and they provided their own. So they eliminate our competition, that is, how do you call it? Capitalism. Eliminate it not by providing a better, cheaper product, but by legally banning competition. The same thing here with the media. These guys cannot fight the Russian propaganda, therefore they ban it. So our propaganda is losing. Why? Because it's so imbecilic. Therefore, that's the only reason why these guys. And the truth is told from multiple angles, and they don't like that. They want only one angle, which is we have Democrats and Republicans, 2 opposite parties. No, it's only one. All right, let's go back here. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken announced new sanctions against the news outlet on Friday, accusing it of engaging in covert influence and activities and functioning as a de facto arm of Russian intelligence. Earlier in September, Washington imposed sanctions on Simonian and 3 other senior RT employees over alleged attempts to influence the 2024 U.S. presidential election. Now, who is against? I mean, these guys are going to interfere. We do what we do and we need to do. But legally, you have AIPAC and other, how do you call those guys? Lobbying groups. They are actively influencing. But hey, that's okay. They got the money. They got the whatever. They can do it. The Russians know because they're gonna interfere in our interference. So obviously they don't like competition. Therefore, ban it. Ban it, ban it. So it's just a de facto arm of the Russian intelligence, says a government that never lied to you and worked only in your own interest and your family's interest. Okay? So we have liars everywhere. You have to just make sure that you bob and weave and get around. But how do you get around? How can you figure out that this guy is lying? By looking around from as many angles and get your information. If you're not allowed and you don't have those opportunities, even if that comes from your enemy, that means you remain with one option, the narrative provided to you by the guys who ban things. Because when you lose, you ban. You make it illegal, therefore you win. The same with democracy. You don't like the elections, you find something. And you find something that they cheated. That's both sides. The same here. You don't like, you can't compete with the cars, do some, I don't know, add something, do something, destroy those guys' ability to build it. On the global stage, not compete, okay, he built a better car than I did, and cheaper. Let's think, how can I make a better one, like in a capitalist system? No, I'm going to fuck you up with my military, obviously, and with the sanctions. All right, let's go. Simonian asserted that the latest attack on Russian media is a clear effort to clamp down on the information space ahead of the November vote. Not only, if there would be only November, I would be, okay, that's garbage number 1, but I think it's garbage 3,592 so far. They need to silence everyone. I think I agree with that one. This is the story of freedom and democracy and in the so-called free West. It seems to me that only clinically insane people or those who are obviously biased can believe in it. In practice, the US idea of free press doesn't extend to others, she added. It's very easy to promote freedom of speech and practice it when it's only your speech that counts and no one else. Correct. It says, Simonian argued that Washington's claims about Russia Today collaborating with Russian intelligence, I think they do, they all do, are a classic case of projection. Okay. And I'm quoting, the idea that you can't achieve results without being part of the intelligence services has exposed them for what they are. She noted that the way US mainstream media publishes various intelligence leaks, that's not leaks, that's orders to do it, and insider information from unnamed, that I always say, security officials point to their close ties with American intelligence services. And I'm quoting, if you look at who runs these foundations, and often the media, they're either families of intelligence employees, I agree with that, former intelligence officers, or further future ones. I totally agree with that one, just pay attention. And I'm quoting, they receive orders from intelligence services, write this, write that, they have long since merged with each other. I agree with that, because I know. If you don't, you got a long way to open that little box. All right, let's see how these guys now, they try to make other countries. You remember, I have a problem with you, I sanction you, and you sanction me. The problem is these guys don't operate that way. I have a problem with you, I will take my vassal states, you have to have a problem with him, otherwise smack smack. And after these guys are following the orders, I'm going to go to the other ones and try to influence everybody else to hurt you, because I think I'm the right one, the right cause, therefore you have to be put in line, regimented. So they tried this with India, obviously, and they tried with China, because China is next after Russia, in being helped to see the light. India shuns US request to ban Russia today. Washington's call for a global sanctions campaign against the Russian news network has been received poorly in New Delhi. The Indian government is reluctant to back Washington's renewed attack on Russian media outlets. The Hindu newspaper has reported, citing diplomatic sources. New Delhi has not provided any official reaction to the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken's call on Friday to every ally, every partner, to start by treating Russia Today's activities as they do other intelligence activities by Russia within their borders. I don't like what you say, I'm going to ban you. But hey, I love freedom of speech. As far as, or as much as you do what I tell you, and you published whatever I want, I would allow, freedom of speech allows you to lie, allows you to hate. We have laws, with some consequences, but, you lie in court under oath, yeah, we have consequences. You lie at work, there are consequences. I lie in the street, I say here whatever I want, there should be my right. You verify everything I said. If you want, if you're lazy, you go to someone else who's gonna lie to you as well. When I go and buy from McDonald's and they tell me that's the greatest food and blah, 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 I know because I see the result. That's my choice to eat at McDonald's. Sometimes I do, which once a year, all right? But that's it. Well, it tastes good, but I know I eat literally shit, all right? My choice. Do you know everything what you eat? Do you know your, let's say, beef, when you go and want to have a steak, how it was produced? No, they give you a small label over there with 3 chemicals or hormones, but you don't know anything else. You don't know the whole list. In Europe, from this list is a little bit this list, but the real list is like this. They don't tell you that. You eat corn. Corn is the second most engineered, genetically modified product. The corn. I don't eat corn. Jesus Christ. That means you eat plastic. No, whatever you eat. I'm just saying, I don't know if you eat plastic. I'm just exaggerating. But I'm just saying these are modified. Look at the watermelon. The original watermelon and the one that we, the Europeans, created. What you eat right now is a creation, is a modified. The bananas. Bananas is modified. Look how bananas in nature are, not the ones modified by us. And many other products. There are nowadays you can take an apple, put it on the table, and it stays the same for a month. I know how the apple used to be. You take it out of the tree, put it over here, the next day or 3 days, you already see something happen to that one. That's real. They can make that happen too, through genetically modified, techniques. So, okay, and you still eat those without those guys even telling you what you eat. But they tell you, oh my God, in influence of these guys, they're lying. You're not allowed to lie, but you're allowed to lie by omission. All right, let's go to the next one. And we find out that the Americans when we have enemies and we have interest always everywhere, but the other guys are not allowed to have interest, only we are allowed, those guys don't, sometimes I make the mistake to say we, but it's not we. We are their modern economic slaves. We are the little rats or mice on the little, treadmill or on the little wheel that we spin, and the energy from us, our children, our families, our loved ones, goes to these guys to stay in charge of us with the mass media and the other backers and the fucked up system that they operate in, and we are just the subjects. I was mild saying subjects. So Beijing releases long-jailed U.S. citizen. California resident David Liu is free after spending 18 years in prison. And they say, oh, this baboon here, he is the one who actually acquired that. No, he didn't. Anyway, Jake Sullivan, a baboon, a weasel, by experience, what he says and what he does. And we have here, the Chinese government has released 68-year-old Orange County resident David Liu, who has been behind bars since 2006, serving life sentence for what the US government says are bogus charges of contract fraud. They never did anything. Have they ever done anything? So if someone gets right now, let's say, arrested and convicted in, let's say, in China for a kind of activities over there, let's say with minor children, will these guys gonna say, oh, that is bogus charges? Or they gonna say, yeah, that's a pedopalapilipelapa? Will they say that? Remember, always our guys in Iran, Russia, China, or other countries, that Venezuela, that are arrested or something, they get in trouble with a law over there, it's bogus charges. But when we do it with others, it's the right charge. Like, let's say, well, let's get Mr. Assange here and prosecute him, and okay, let's get Mr. Snowden, let's get him too, and many others. Because why? The media operatives tell you so. Remember Russia Today? And we find out this guy is, China releases American pastor after nearly 2 decades. So let me tell you about the pastors and the intelligence services. And that is a general rule, just so you know. But moreover, I know that 100%. I'm not going to tell you how I know, but nevertheless, in Romania, during the communist times, the security service, Securitatea, said the pastors, the foreign pastors, they would come just to... These guys were the guys who were on the payroll of services, foreign services abroad, obviously. So when you had a pastor coming over, he was immediately followed by the Securitate, and then changed, and then the next one, and then change the next one. Every move of that pastor. Now, obviously, right now you can travel, let's say in free world, and you can come over there and say no problem with that. Nobody's gonna really get you followed, but they follow you with the phone. They can follow you with laptops. They can follow you with everything. It's much easier right now. Much easier. So this pastor going to China, communist China, going over there, I don't know his, the fraud thing or whatever. I don't know the details, but I know some things around. So when these guys say, oh, there's bogus charges, I go to Navalny. There was no bogus charges, but so this guy said. I remember the one who tried to take drugs into Russia. What was his name? The Hoop, right? Again, bogus charges. I know that Jewish... they call him a journalist from Wall Street Journal, Mr. Gerkovich. Remember Gerkovich? Oh, bogus charges. They didn't catch him red-handed. I don't know. But none of these guys were legitimately abducted or incarcerated. None of these guys. Not even Whelan, Paul Whelan. Again, no. Who gladly, I'm happy he's gone, because the lobby worked for Gerkovich. Therefore, he just was dragged like a drag after a car goes. The air follows. They couldn't release him with Brittany Griner, remember? They got Victor Baut, the Merchant of Death. Compared Victor Baut, the Merchant of Death, with the Pentagon. And you tell me which one is the Merchant of Death. All right, let's go to the Polish minister who says, don't worry about the Russian nuclear threats that could blow up the planet. I tell you, don't worry. Would you believe that? If you believe that, please give me about $20,000 today, and I will give it to you back tomorrow with 3,000% interest. And we go, I promise I show up tomorrow at the right time and right place and give you the money back. If you're so naive, let's move on. Polish foreign minister believes is bad, it's a bad word. There is no need, don't need to, take it easy, believe me. Touch the screen, believe me. No, to fear Kremlin's nuclear threat. This guy, what's his name? Radoslav Sikorski. So Sikorski says there's no need, my man, no need, right there. Western journalists always ask me about Putin's red lines and Putin's threats of escalation, to which I have at least two answers. Number one, we have red lines too, and they never ask about those. And secondly, I don't think that there is anything that Putin is not doing that he will do in response to what we do. I would be very surprised if he was mad enough to start a war with NATO. And his threats of using nuclear weapons have also so far been hollow. So take it easy, baby doll, turn around, bend over, put your underwear to the side a little bit, and we can start playing. Is that how it is? It's dangerous. Okay, let's say this guy is right. All right, would you make that bet? It's 50-50. It's either or. Let's say he's right. Good for you, man. Whew. Let's say he's wrong. What do we do then? Nothing. Too late. I don't want to play my life and my loved ones' lives or your life because Sikorski tell me, don't worry, man. Because they didn't do it 50 times, it doesn't mean that they're going to do it the 51st time. But that's his logic. That's how these guys operate. So that's actually a logical, if you go by the same logic, the Americans invaded and bombarded what? Yugoslavia, bombarded Iraq, bombarded Afghanistan, bombarded Yemen, now bombarded Libya, bombarded Syria, bombarded many places. That means they're going to bombard you next and him. I mean, by this logic, because they did this all the time, that means they're going to bombard tomorrow Great Britain. By the same logic, since the Russians, he claims, they didn't follow through, that means they will never do that. That means you turn it the other way around. If these guys always did it that way, they will always do it in the future. No. Sikorski, you are a foreign minister of an important country. Foreign minister, you see? Yeah, you're in an important country, Poland, and you're a baboon. He was appointed, by the way, by someone who was voted in office. Can you believe that? That's the representative democracy for you. Next one, we're going to go to Kiev, who asks for Western countries, countries where Ukrainians went as refugees, did not want to participate in Zelensky-Stein's orders or the interest from above the United States of America to fight Russia and destroy Russia. Therefore, they need to be brought back. In Romania, it was with Arcanu. Get them with Arcanu, you just get them around the neck with something and get them. Round them up and bring them and give no weapon and hope they're going to go and fight the Russians and not turn around and mow you down. Imbecilic. Kiev backs Warsaw's call to cut benefits to Ukrainian men. Oh, yeah, I think this is very sexist. I'm just kidding. Restricting payments would force them to return home and sign up to fight Russian forces or immigrate to Russia. Did you think about that one? Poland's foreign minister has said. Kiev's foreign minister Andrzej Sibiga has welcomed Polish foreign minister Radoslav Sikorski, the same imbecile, call on European governments to halt the provision of welfare benefits to Ukrainian men of military age who are living in the EU. Stop paying those social security payments for people who are eligible for Ukrainian draft. There should be no financial incentives for avoiding the draft in Ukraine. Sikorski said at the Conference of International Leaders in Kiev. Got that? And we have this one here. Polish minister visiting Kiev calls for end to benefits for Ukrainian men in Europe. And you got these guys right here. Parapatapatapa. Now, why people don't want to fight for Ukraine or for any country? Let's say I'm a Romanian and I'm drafted. All right. And I say, well, let's see. Who's in charge of Romania? Well, weasels. I don't fight for weasels. Oh, you fight for a country? No, the country is owned and ruled by weasels. Thanks, but no thanks. Fuck off. That's one of them. The other one, I look at, okay, who's in charge of Romania? Oh, NATO? No, I'm not going to fight for NATO. Oh, NATO is the good guy. Okay, that's a different story. But the defensive alliance bombarded Yugoslavia in defending itself for about, 74 days or something? Thanks, but no thanks. Oh, they bombarded Libya? No. Afghanistan? No. Iraq? No. Syria? No. So I don't think that qualifies. So you want to fight for Zelensky Stein, who's Ukrainian? You want to fight for Zmihal, who's Ukrainian? And how come only these guys are in charge of you, but you are not in charge of you? So they are very happy to throw your nation into war with their cousins, the Russians, because they take their bags and they go to the middle ground, or go to London or New York. Yeah, you fight for those guys? Thanks, but no thanks. How come only those guys had the balls to fight, to use you as a nation to fight the evil Russians? Because you didn't have any balls, Ukrainians? No, because these guys are the ones that are sold or paid for. That's the one. So they don't want to do that. Other reason could be, you know what? I'm a coward. I'm afraid to die. I don't want to fight. All right, then you go. There's another reason. If you don't believe in the country, don't believe in the ones that are over there, you understand that those guys are owned. And the third one is, maybe the other guys, our enemies that I'm supposed to fight, are the good guys. And maybe these guys that they ask me, no, they draft me to fight, are the bad guys. So I'm gonna fight the wrong war. I'm gonna fight the wrong enemy, as General Patton said, allegedly. All right. It can't be 100% attributed to him, but my gut feeling told me that he said it. And then he had an accident with his Jeep. All right, because he wanted to fight the guys who were in charge of Soviet Union, and that's a no-no. We have to love them. Remember the perpetual victims, global victims? All right, you got the hint. So here you have these guys. I'm afraid. Let's say I'm scared. I don't want to fight. I'm a coward. The other one, I know the dynamics, and maybe the other guys are my friends because I see these guys want me to fight my friends for those guys over there. I don't want to do that, or those guys. I have nothing to do, and they use me until you use me up. All right. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.